Alright, so we're going to make another video about integers. In this video, allow me to talk about exponents and negative integers, okay? So, um, negative integers are located to the left of the zero on the number line, okay? Um, Positive integers are located to the right of the zero on a number line, and then zero conceptually is in the middle of a number line, okay? And integers are whole numbers, not fractions, and they can be positive, negative, or a zero, okay? All right, so let's take a look at a negative integer, all right, a negative number, all right? So say we have -3, okay? Well, okay, that's -3. So many times in life we like to just kind of think in a forward progression. We like to just think forward. Think we don't like to work. We don't like to think backwards. We like to think just about how things go forward. Okay, so -3, but we don't. We sometimes have a hard time conceptualizing how a -3 could actually be something like this: -1 times 3. Okay, so -3 could be a +3 next to a -1 in the multiplication expression like this. Okay, likewise, if you had -5, right, that could be rewritten as -1 times 5. All right, so this is something that's important to understand when we come to exponents. Okay, so when we have an exponent such as like -3, and we are squaring it, well, we need to remember that -3 can be rewritten as -1 times 3, and then that square, right, is going to the 3, not to the -1. So then all that can be rewritten as -1 times 3 times 3. So what was squared was a 3, and now you have a 9 times -1, which equates to -9. All right? And some people might think, well, you're multiplying this -3 times itself, so it should be -3 times -3. And that would be the case if it was written in a different type of format, which we're going to go over here in a little bit. But if it was written like this, right, with a negative and a 3, and then a 2 on top to the right, or a 3 or anything like that, you're going to be multiplying this base, this 3, by itself, however many times is up here. Okay. All right. So now that we've covered that, let's go over the format that you would use and that you need to identify when you are multiplying, when you are taking an exponent, not an exponent, sorry, a negative number, and you are putting an exponent on it to power it to whatever number that exponent is, okay? So let's say you had a -5, okay? Well, if you put that -5 in parentheses, and then you put a square there, all right, what that's saying is you have, let's use a different color, saying that you have a -1 times 5, and all that is squared. And what that is then saying is you have -1 times -1 times 5 times 5, okay? So -1 times -1 is a +1. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 1 is going to equal 25. So in this case, you would square the -1 because it's in parentheses, all right? And that would be the same for other numbers as well. You know, say you had a negative 10, right? Squared. Well, that's just going to be negative 1 times negative 1 times 10 times 10, all right? And all that is going to equal, well, that's 100, and that's 1. So all that is going to equal 100. So anyway, those are some key rules that you need to learn, and hopefully you've memorized it while watching this video about exponents and negative integers. Again, it's worth repeating. When you have a negative integer and you use an exponent to multiply it by itself, however many times that exponent that exponent is, you are only going to be multiplying that number if it's outside of parentheses, and you're going to leave the negative 1 by itself. So with the negative 5 up here, you are going to be instead of multiplying the negative 1 times negative 1, you're just going to be the negative 5, I mean the 5 times 5, and you're going to leave the 1 out. And that, again, is only if you had it in this format right here. If it was just a negative 5 squared, you would just square the 5 and you leave the negative 1 alone. So in the end, you'd have a negative 25. All right, but in this case, it's in parentheses, so you do indeed square the 1 and the 5, and same with over here. Okay, so that's it for right now. We'll come back here shortly and make another video.